All right, I think we're live. Yeah, been having bad weather, really bad weather here, and so internet has been iffy, and I wasn't sure I was going to get a connection, but okay, we are live. And I want to talk about finding purpose in life when you're childless, not by choice. So if you're watching this live, say hi in the comments. Let me know where you are in this world. And if you're watching it on replay, let me type hashtag replay in the comments. Just want to say hi to people here. Give me a second here. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. Finding purpose when you realize you're not going to be a mom. Once you've decided that you want to become a mom, whether it was as a child or whether it was something you decided as an adult, it becomes something that you envision. You envision the future. Now, everybody has different degrees of how detailed you've imagined the future. I had a pretty detailed vision of my future. But to some degree, you have a vision for your future, and it can become a focus in your life. And even if you're not a planner, you have this like long-term view. You've envisioned what motherhood would be like. And it becomes a purpose, one purpose in your life. It may not be your main one, it may not be the main purpose the whole time, but it becomes a purpose in your life along with other things, other purposes. Let me just hold on. Let me say hi to people as they're joining. So then what happens when you want to become a mom and you realize that's not going to happen? What ends up being is you start to question yourself, like, what's my purpose in life? Even if you had other things, other goals in your life, the emotional state that being childless, not by choice, brings can leave you feeling like it's not possible. I don't know what I'm supposed to focus on in life. I have no purpose. And then you add to that the messages from society. Motherhood is the most important job in the world. Women should become moms, whether it's in your own community, whether it's your family saying this, colleagues saying this, or maybe it's a religious figure. Those are common messages. And when you add to that the already painful emotional state of being childless, not by choice, like it really piles on the questioning of what's my purpose in life. If, the most important job in the world is becoming a mom and I can't do that, then what am I? Like, what is my purpose in life? And I was in that place. And I had a career. I had a very busy career. I had a very busy life. And when I got to the point in my life of realizing I wasn't going to become a mom, despite all that I had going on in my life, despite all my other goals, I still questioned myself. What's my purpose in life? I have no purpose anymore. Okay? So you go through those stages wondering, what's my purpose now? I don't have a purpose anymore. Even if you have other things, no matter what you have in your life. But what is purpose? Simply put, it's a sense of accomplishment. It's a sense of meaning in what you do. Well, in what you do, regardless, whether it's career, whether it's personal life, it's a sense of meaning, feeling meaningful in your life. It's not about what other people think you should have as your purpose. It's not about what other people think of your life. It's about what you think, what's meaningful to you. It's about your beliefs and your values. Not being a mom doesn't mean you don't have or can't have purpose in your life. And a purpose doesn't have to be this like spectacular thing, this, grandiose thing like I'm going to cure cancer or I want to fix world hunger. I mean, it certainly can be if that is what you strive to do in life. Awesome. But my point is, we tend to get stuck in this thought that a purpose in life has to be this like amazing, phenomenal thing. Sorry, I'm reading something. I'm really sorry that you have gone through all of that. I'm so sorry. And I hope that it hasn't left you feeling like you have no purpose. And if it has, let's talk about how you can find purpose. So again, purpose in life, it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. It is really all about what brings you meaning. What is meaningful to you in your life? There's no right or wrong. Obviously not something that's hurtful to others. There's no big or small. It's just it just has to be meaningful to you. It can be traveling. It can be a hobby. It could be you have senior neighbors who are alone that you visit to keep them company. It's whatever brings you joy in your life, whatever brings you meaning. But I do know that after all you've been through these years, sometimes it is through fertility treatments, sometimes it is through pregnancy loss, sometimes, what has brought you here is aging out, not finding the right partner or finding a partner that you, for whatever reason, can't have children with. Whatever you've been through, the emotional turmoil can sometimes leave you wondering what your purpose is and how you can find purpose. So let's work through that. First of all, often what happens is you get to a point, you've reached this place and you think, I can't have a purpose. I'm not worthy of having a purpose. If that's where you are, the first thing you need to do is recognize those thoughts. Acknowledge those thoughts that you're having that you think you're not worthy of having purpose. Acknowledge them. Don't push them away. Don't pretend they're not there. Face them. When you face them, it takes the steam out of them. And over time, you learn to recognize it's not true. You are worthy of having purpose. You can have purpose. And over time, you learn to trust yourself that you can find it. So once you've done that, now take a look at how do you want your life to look now that you will not be having children. A new normal, a different vision for your future than what you had always wanted. But how do you want that now to look? Do you want to live in a certain place? Do you want to not live anywhere and travel the world? Do you want to live somewhere but just be able to take off for weekends anytime? Is there a career path you want to take that you didn't take? Do you want to live near family? Or do you want to be in a place where your non-biologic family, your non-biologic community becomes your family? And what are your priorities? For me, I always knew dogs were going to be part of my life and a priority in my life. My whole life, just like my whole life knew or thought I knew that I would become a mom to humans, dogs were going to be part of that. And so when I looked at how do I want my vision, what's my vision for my life now that I'm not going to become a mom, part of that was my dogs. I mean, they're always going to be part of my life. They're always going to be part of that vision and what I do. And when you've looked at, what is it? How do you envision your life now? What do you want it to look like without children? Write that all down, because you're going to incorporate that into the next step, which is thinking about what you're passionate about. What are you passionate about? Sometimes, though, you get to this point and you don't even know anymore. The pain you've experienced is just like blinded you, and you just can't think about what is it that I have a passion for. So let's break that down to help you figure it out. And journaling, a journal, paper, whatever, is always so helpful. Again, you want to write these things down because that helps you to look at them after and kind of put the pieces together. So, what are you passionate about? Think about what brings you joy. You may be thinking or questioning yourself, like, I don't even know anymore. What is it that I find joy with? And with one of my clients now, and I've had others in the past, that was they were at a point, they reached to, like, they didn't know, couldn't remember, didn't know what they wanted to do, what they were passionate about, because they didn't remember, what is it that brings me joy? And so we worked on what brought you joy as a child. What brought you joy before you ever went down the road of knowing that you were going to become a mom? So before any, needing fertility treatments, before even thinking, oh my gosh, I'm getting older, I'm not meeting the right person, this isn't going to happen. Before you ever got to that point, what brought you joy then? And what are you good at? That's often another really hard question to answer, because you've beaten yourself down at this point sometimes when you're childless, not by choice, to think that I'm not good at anything, and that's not true. And again, just like with finding purpose, this doesn't have to be some spectacular, phenomenal thing. What are you good at? Are you good at gardening? Are you good at cooking? Are you good at introducing people? There's no right or wrong. Again, and no, it's not, it's got to be some big thing. There's no big or small. It's what are you good at? And if you're still in that place where you are thinking, I'm just not good at anything, again, go back to your childhood. What were you good at as a child, as a teen, as a young adult? What were you good at before you realized motherhood wasn't going to happen, before that pain entered your life? Do you have a bucket list? I mean, if you don't, that's fine. If you do, look at your bucket list. I don't really know of anybody who puts things on their bucket list that they don't enjoy. So now, the one thing with the bucket list is, if you have one, you may have imagined doing those things with your kids. So for some of you, it's going to be too painful to look at that bucket list and be like, okay, this is something I enjoy, that I want to make a purpose in my life. But for others of you, that may not be the case. You may be able to separate it out and be like, yeah, this is something that's important to me. This I enjoy, even though I can't do this with children. Now, this wasn't my bucket list, but one of my joys in life, as I've talked about, is my dogs. I always imagined sharing that joy, that love with my children. I still love my dogs. They're still like my life, even though I can't share that with my children. So, getting back to bucket list, if you have a bucket list, look at that. What are the things on there that you can, that you still want to do, that can become a purpose, a goal in your life? And then the last part of this, breaking down, figuring out what you're passionate about, is Look at what annoys you. Now that may sound odd, and you're like, okay, why would I look at what annoys me? Well, first of all, you know that if something annoys you, you know that's not for you. That's not going to be your purpose in life. But you can also look at that and flip it around. Like, what's the opposite of it? If that annoys me, how do I feel about the opposite? Or would working towards stopping that or, fixing that, would that bring me joy? So maybe you live on a beach or near a beach, or you visit beaches, whatever, and they're, filled with trash, and that annoys you. Well, the opposite of that is either helping to clean it up, working towards cleaning, beaches, working for an organization that does this. Is that something that can bring you joy? So even your annoyances can give you some ideas of what to make your purpose in life, what brings you joy, what are you passionate about? Now, take those, look at what you've written down, and again, just write, don't judge, just write these things down and consider all of this in terms of also what you envision for your life, what you want your life to look like now that you won't have children, and who is the person you want to be. How do you combine all that to turn that into a purpose for you, or more than one purpose? Not being a mom doesn't mean you can't have and won't have purpose in life. If nothing else, just writing out the things that bring you joy in life can help you to identify the things you love to do. You can find a way now to embrace those things in your life and see where they can give you purpose. So let me know in the comments, either while we're live. Hold on, let me see if there's any other comments. Let me say hi here. Hold on. Let me know in the comments, what brings you joy? What are you passionate about? What is getting in your way of finding purpose? And if you don't want to put it in the comments, you just want to, if you want to talk with me, ask me questions, send me a message, and we can talk about what's getting in your way of finding your purpose in life. Don't let being childless take away your purpose. All right. Have a great evening, or whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.